The following content is provided under a Creative Commons license. Your support will help MIT OpenCourseware continue to offer high-quality educational resources for free. To make a donation or view additional materials from hundreds of MIT courses, visit MIT OpenCourseware at ocw.mit.edu.
Okay, on Tuesday we talked about sex, so today we're going to talk about marriage. Now, in terms of graph theory, marriage is expressed as a matching problem. And today we're going to talk about a matching algorithm that is used in all sorts of applications. It's used by online dating agencies to match compatible people together. It's used for assignment problems, for example, matching interns to hospitals on match day. It's used for resource allocation problems, for example, load balancing traffic on the internet. And we'll talk about the applications at the end of class. In its simplest form of a matching problem, you have a graph where the edges represent compatibility. Two nodes can be paired together or married. And the goal is to create the maximum number of compatible pairs. So let's define a matching. Given a graph G with nodes V and edges E, a matching you can think of it as a collection of edges or a subgraph of G where every node has degree 1. So everybody can be married just to one person. So let's draw an example. Let me not put that edge in. All right, let's label these nodes x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6, x7, and x8. Now, x1, x6 and x2, x5 is a matching. So x1, x6 and x2, x5 is a matching with two edges, so we say it has size 2. All right, so I can pair these guys up and pair these guys up. Is there any bigger matching in this graph? So I found one with two marriages, here and here, two edges. Yeah? x1, x7, x2, x6. Good. All right, that's a matching of size 3. So I got 3 couples together. Good. Can I make a bigger matching? One with size 4. 4 marriages here. No. All right, why not? Can anybody give me a reason why it can't be done? Yeah?
Someone.
Yeah, so if, yeah?
They can only be paired with x1, but x1 can't be paired with both.
Good. If I were to have a matching with 4 edges, well, there's only 8 nodes. So I'd have to have all 8 nodes involved in the matching. And that means x7 and x8 would have to be in the matching, but they can only be paired with x1. And so it's not possible to do that. All right, so there is no matching of size 4 in this graph. 3 is the best I can do. Now, when you get every node in a matching, then it's called a perfect matching. And so in this case, it doesn't exist, but sometimes it does. So a matching is perfect if it has size half the number of nodes. In other words, if the number of edges is v over 2, then every node is in the matching. All right, so that one doesn't have a perfect matching. What about this graph? So I got B1, B2, B3, B4, G1, G2, G3, G4, and I'll put in the compatibility edges here. Okay. Does that graph have a perfect matching? Can you pair up every boy with a girl here so that everybody's compatible with their mate and you have just one spouse? Can you do that? Yeah? All right. Who do I start pairing up? 1, 1. B2, G3. B3, G2. There we go. All right, so there is a perfect matching in this graph. Very good. Now, in some cases, some pairings are more desirable than others. And this can be represented with a weight. And so you might have a weighted graph where every edge has a weight on it. For example, we might weight B1, G2 with 5, and B1, G1 gets a 10. And usually when you see weighted graphs in the matching context, a lower weight means it's more desirable. So that B1 and G2 would get along better than B1 and G1. And then the goal is to find a matching with minimum weight. Now, the weight of a matching call it M, is the sum of the weights on the edges of M. Now, usually when you're looking at weighted matchings, you require yourself to have a perfect matching so that everybody gets paired up. And often in that case, you'll see all the edges present, some of them with very big weights, maybe even infinity, if they just can't be put together. Because otherwise, you just say, don't match anybody together, and you have weight 0. So when you look at minimum weight matchings, you're looking for the perfect matching with minimum weight. So we say a min weight matching for a graph G is a perfect matching for G with the minimum weight, overall perfect matchings. Let's try an example. Say I've got this graph, and call this node Brad. Here's Billy Bob. Here's Jennifer. And then Angelina. And the weights are as follows. I put a 10 here, a 10 down here, a 5 here, because Brad really likes Angelina and vice versa, and a 16 between Jennifer and Billy Bob. What is the weight of the min weight matching in that graph? 20. And who gets paired with who there? Who does Brad get hooked up with? Jen. And that leaves Billy Bob with Angelina. And the weight is 20. So even though Brad really likes Angelina, if I go that route, my weight is 21, which is not as good. So the min-weight matching would be this one. Okay, now it turns out that finding the maximum matching, the maximum number of edges you can put together, or finding the minimum weight perfect matching, those are both solvable, tractable problems. You don't get $1 million prize for solving that. The algorithms run in, quadratic to cubic time, so not terrible. But they're not NP complete, so people know how to do it. Now, they are pretty complicated, so we're not going to cover them in 6042. What we're going to do is look at a slightly different version of the problem that actually turns out to be more useful in practice because there's a very nice algorithm for it. Now, in the version of the problem that we're going to look at, everybody has preferences, a preference list. It's not weighted, but it's a priority order of who they want to get mated to or matched up with. So it would look not quite like that, but it would look like this. So Brad, Billy Bob, Jennifer, and Angelina, same players. But what we do is we know that Brad really likes Angelina, and Angelina really likes Brad, so they're first choices. At least was. Number 2 for Brad is Jennifer, but Jennifer really likes Brad first, and Billy Bob second. Billy Bob likes Angelina first, then Jennifer. Angelina thinks Billy Bob is number 2. So it's not necessarily symmetric. Jennifer has Brad as the first choice. Brad has Angelina as the first choice. All right, so it's an asymmetric situation. Now, what would happen if we set up our marriages so that Brad's married to Jen and Billy Bob is married to Angelina? What might happen if we made those as our pairings and we put them on a desert island, all 4 of them? What's likely to happen there?
Brad and Angelina cheat on each other.
Yeah, we're going to have a problem because Brad and Angelina have the hots for each other here, and they like each other better than their spouse. So before you know it, they're going to be doing their 6042 homework together late at night. All right? Now, when this happens, we have what's called a rogue couple. Given a matching X and Y, a boy and a girl, say, form a rogue couple. If they prefer each other over their mates. In M. All right, so here, if we married Brad to Jennifer and Billy Bob to Angelina, Brad and Angelina form a rogue couple because they like each other better than who they were hooked up with. And that's sort of a bad thing. It creates instability if you were to make the matchings that way. In fact, we say that a matching is stable if there aren't any rogue couples. And now, one thing to make clear is that your preferences can't change over time. So it's not a situation where you get bored with your spouse and you change your mind and then you go off and create a rogue couple. You're fixed in your preferences over all time, and you know playing the field, none of that stuff here. Okay, so it's fixed once and for all. And your goal, of course, is to create or find a perfect matching that's stable. That's the goal. So get everybody married up and make it stable. All right, is it doable in that example? If I put those 4 people on a desert island, could I make a stable matching? Yeah, who would I match Brad to? All right, good. And then Billy Bob gets Jennifer. Now, I'm not saying that you make everybody happy, right? Because Billy Bob and Jennifer are probably not happy there. They each got their number 2 choice, but it's stable because Brad and Angelina aren't going anywhere. They're going to stay together because they like each other best. And so there's no chance that that Angelina's going to sneak off, with Billy Bob, or that Brad's going to sneak off with Jennifer. All right, so it's stable. Not everybody's happy, but it's a stable set of marriages. Okay. Any questions about what we're trying to do here now? Yeah? That's a great question. You know, you'll see it referred to both ways. Technically, it's a subgraph, so it has nodes and edges. But you'll see me and you'll see everybody say, oh, it's a bunch of edges that don't share any nodes. And you'll see them refer to it as the edges. But really underlying that, it's a subgraph, technically. Any other questions about what we're trying to do here to find stable perfect matching? All right. Well, in this example, there was a stable perfect matching. But what about in general? If I have a lot more people and they have arbitrary preferences, how many people think you can always find a stable perfect matching? Well, there's one optimistic person. How many people think there's some cases where you're just not going to be able to do it? Wow. Okay, so pessimistic view. Well, in some sense, you're both right. If you allow boys to prefer boys and girls to prefer girls, then it is not possible. And I'll give you an example. You can find examples where there's always a rogue couple. But if you require boys to only get matched to girls and vice versa, then it is possible to always find stable marriages, stable matchings. All right, and we're going to talk about an algorithm for that. But before I show you the algorithm, let me show you the bad case when boys can prefer boys, or it's sort of a unisex scenario. So here's a bad example with 4 people. And the idea is to create a love triangle. So we have Alex, who prefers Bobby Joe. Bobby Joe prefers Robin. And Robin prefers Alex. And their second choices go in the opposite order there. All right, so Alex wants to be with Bobby Joe wants to be with Robin wants to be with Alex, and then there's Murgatroyd. And nobody likes Murgatroyd, so that's choice 3 for all of them here. And, you know, Murgatroyd's choices, preferences don't really matter in this case. Hope nobody's named Murgatroyd in the class. You know, I'll get complaints here. All right, so I want to claim and prove a theorem that says there is no stable matching for this group of preferences. So we'll state that as a theorem. There does not exist a stable matching for this graph. The proof is by contradiction. Assume there is one. All right, so assume there exists a stable matching. We're going to find a rogue couple in it. So call the stable matching M. Well, if there's a stable matching, Murgatroyd's got to get married to somebody. Murgatoid will be matched with someone all right, now here I'm going to do something that you can do in your proofs, but you got to be careful when you do it. I'm going to say, without loss of generality, assume Murgatoid is matched to Alex. All right, and I can do that, so this is the abbreviation, without loss of generality, by symmetry. And really I should explain what I mean here in the proof. Well, that love triangle is symmetric. Each one has a preference to the next person around the triangle. You know, in terms of graph isomorphism, with the weights on that, every node looks the same, so I can use symmetry. So we're going to say, without loss of generality, we're going to assume Murgatoid is matched to Alex. And I'm implying the argument is going to be the same. What I say next is the same no matter who Murgatoid is matched to, because it's symmetric. All right, if Murgatoid is matched to Alex, do you see a rogue couple up there? So you have Robin matched to Bobby Joe. Murgatoid is matched to Alex. Alex and Bobby Joe. No? Alex and Robin, yeah. Alex and Bobby Joe aren't rogue because Bobby Joe likes Robin. Likes the person he or she's married to. All right, so they're not going to go off with Alex. But Alex and Robin are a rogue couple because Robin likes Alex the best, and Alex for sure likes Robin better than Murgatoid. All right, so they both prefer each other to their mates. And so they form a rogue couple. All right, so Alex and Robin form a rogue couple, and that means that M was not stable. The matching was not stable. And that's a contradiction, because we assumed it was. So we have a contradiction, and the proof is done. Any questions about that? And I'm sort of implying here that you could match, could have had Murgatoid matched to Bobby Joe, and then Bobby Joe and Alex would have been a rogue couple, or Murgatoid matched to Robin, and then Robin and Bobby Joe would be a rogue couple, either without loss of generality. So it's okay to use that, but you want to be careful that you're doing it okay. Questions? Yeah.
So without loss of generality only works if it's like perfectly symmetric?
Yeah. That basically the argument you're going to make is just going to be the same argument done in all three cases. And to save yourself some effort, you're saying don't do the three cases, do one. The other two look the same. So technically, you could add case 1, case 2, case 3, and they would have looked symmetric. Okay? All right, now this is not very surprising. As you all voted, almost all of you said it's hard to find stable matchings. You might not be able to do it always. And in fact, you can't in the unisex world. The surprising thing is you can always find a stable matching in the world where boys can only be paired with girls and vice versa. Now, this statement, this result, is pretty famous. The problem itself is known as the stable marriage problem. So let me just define it here. And then we'll talk about an algorithm to find the matching. So we have n boys and n girls. And it's important we have the same number of each. Now, actually, tomorrow in recitation, you're going to look at the scenario where there's more girls than boys, or vice versa. And that'll be, you'll be using a similar algorithm, but it'll be a different context. And that's the context that comes up in matching interns to hospitals and stuff like that. But for our version, it's an equal number of boys and girls. Each boy has his own ranked preference list of all the girls. So every boy sort of has his dance card of the girls that he likes in order. All right, the orders can be different for different boys. And each girl has the same thing. She has her own list, ranked 1 to n, of all the boys. The lists are complete, and there's no ties. So all the ties have to be broken here. And the goal is to find a perfect matching without rogue couples. Okay, so let's try an example. Before we do the algorithm, let me just do a bigger example with 5 boys and 5 girls. And we'll get some feel for this is not completely obvious how to find it. Okay, so let's put the boys over here. And here's boy 1. And his preference list is going to be the girls will be C, B, E, A, D. And boy 2 is going to have the preference list A, B, E, C, D. Then boy 3 is going to have D, C, B, A, E. Boy 4 is going to be A, C, D, B, E. And boy 5, I'm going to have to write his cross like this, A, B, D, E, C. And the girls also have their lists, so let's put those up. So girl A likes the boys in order 3, 5, 2, 1, 4. Girl B likes them in order 5, 2, 1, 4, 3. Girl C has the order 4, 3, 5, 1, 2. Girl D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the last girl, E, has 2, 3, 4, 1, 5. All right, so say that's our matching problem, and those are the preference lists. Any ideas for how we might try to make an algorithm to do this? Any thoughts about what you'd do? What are some approaches we could take? Yeah? Use the greedy algorithm. Oh, the mating algorithm. Well, yeah, the mating algorithm is going to do very well. But I haven't told you what that is, and it's a little complicated. So I sort of want to explore the things you might know from what we've done so far. What approaches have we seen so far for solving problems? Yeah? The greedy algorithm. Yep, and let's try that. So let's choose the first boy, and we'll just go down and give each boy the best choice available and see what happens. First thing to try usually is the greedy algorithm, and about half the time it'll work in life, and half the time it won't. So let's try greedy. So boy 1 is going to get his first choice, girl C? Who does boy 2 get? A. Who does boy 3 get? D. Oh, this is going well. Who does boy 4 get? Boy 4, yeah, boy 4's got to go all the way down to B because A, C, and D got taken, so boy 4 gets B. And boy 5, who's left? E, fourth choice again. All right, well, maybe that's a stable matching. All right, well, let's see. To see if it's stable, we got to see, are there any rogue couples? Well, is there any rogue couple involving boy 1? No, boy 1 got his first choice. He's not going anywhere. Boy 2? No, first choice. Same with boy 3. These boys are quite happy. They're not doing anything. Boy 4 may not be so happy, though, because boy 4 got paired with B. So there's possible rogue couples. Let's see, is 4A a rogue couple? No. A hates boy 4. Right? No chance she's running off with boy 4. So, 4C. All right, let's see that. Where's C? Oh, yeah. C has the hots for boy 4, so she likes him better than whoever her mate was, and boy 4 likes C better than who he got matched with, boy B. That is now a rogue couple, so the greedy algorithm did not work. That's too bad. Well, it would be a short lecture, I guess, if it worked. Well, what would you do next, sort of, if you were? I mean, you could try to match 4 with C, and then try to patch things up, and you could start doing that. But you might create other rogue couples. In fact, I don't know of an approach. Yeah. Say it again. Yes, you could start swapping around to get rid of rogue couples. In doing that, you might create other rogue couples. In fact, I don't know of an algorithm that works like this, that's known to work, where you start, patching things up, because as you're patching things up, you might make other things much worse by doing that. So I don't know of an approach that way. What's another approach? Yeah.
Pertaining to what order they have each other.
And then do
the highest order and pair them up.
min-weight matching kind of thing?
Maybe.
Maybe? I don't know of an approach like that works. Also, min-weight matching, that algorithm is going to be more complicated than the one I'm going to show you in the end. It takes more time to run. And I don't even know if it works. Like, I don't know if you can take these numbers and make weights on the edges to get a min-weight matching. Oh, a merge sort. So you take the minimum weight edge, put that in, and recurse on that kind of thing. I don't know. It's possible. In fact, a recursive approach is a good idea. I don't know of a nice recursive algorithm for this. It's true that if you found a boy and a girl who liked each other best, you could then match them safely and recurse, because you know they're not going to be in a rogue couple because they like each other best. Then you could recurse. But that might not exist here. You might not have a boy and girl that like each other best, in which case it's hard to know. I don't know now if you pick the minimum weight in some sense, like add the preference list or something to make a min weight and recurse on that, if that works. I don't know of an approach like that. But those are the kinds of things you try. And as far as I know, all those simple things fail for this problem. But there is something that's a little more involved, but does work. And that's the mating algorithm. And does everybody have the handout? It's back up there. I got some copies down here if you need it. But pull that out. So we're going to read this and talk about what the algorithm is and then prove that it performs well. So the initial condition is you have each of the n boys has an ordered list of the n girls and vice versa. And the ritual, we're going to view this as a mating ritual, and really the program is doing it, the code's doing it, but think of it as real life. It takes place over several days. Now, the day is broken up into 3 parts: the morning, the afternoon, and the evening. And in the morning, each girl comes out to her balcony and stands on the balcony. Each boy goes to the balcony of his favorite girl who is still on his list, that hasn't been crossed off. Now, initially, every girl's on his list, so he goes to his favorite girl, goes under her balcony, and serenades her. Now, if over the course of the algorithm the boy has nobody left on his list, he's out of luck. He just stays home and does homework. All right? There's no serenading anymore for him. Now, in the afternoon, the girls who have at least one suitor, a boy down there serenading her, looks at all the suitors, picks her favorite, and to the favorite she says, maybe I'll marry you. Come back tomorrow. Girls don't want to make it too easy here for the boys. Now, to all the other boys who are lower priority, she says, I will never marry you. Go away. So she writes them off for good. Now, that night, any boy who heard a no, like the girl said, no, I'll never marry you, crosses that girl off his list. Because, you know, it's the only practical thing to do at that point. Now, if the boy heard the maybe I'll marry you, well, he's going to go back tomorrow because that's still his favorite girl that's not crossed off. So he goes back and serenades her again the next day in the hopes that eventually she'll say yes. Now, we keep doing this every day, okay? And if we ever encounter a day where every girl has at most one suitor, the algorithm stops. And then every girl who has a suitor says, yes, I will marry you. Now, if a girl doesn't have a suitor, there's no one to marry her. Now, we're going to prove that doesn't happen. Okay? But the termination condition is you no longer have a situation with two or more boys under one balcony. Okay? All right, so let's run that algorithm on this example. Just so we make sure we understand it, because I'm going to try to prove theorems about it. So here are the serenades that are going on. And here's the girls and the days. It's going to work over 4 days in this case. And then we're also going to keep track of the boys' list, who's gotten crossed off. All right, so these will be the crossouts down here. Actually, maybe I'll fit it up here if I can. Girls, let's see, A, B. No, I'm going to have to space it out. And the boys had their lists here. And we have boys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here I'm going to record the crossouts. All right, so let's look at day 1. Who is under girl A's balcony on day 1? 2, 4, and 5 each like girl A the best. So she's got a lot of activity. These 3 boys show up. Anybody under girl B's balcony? No, nothing there. C. Does C have anybody? Boy 1, yeah. D. 3. And E. I don't think there's any action, right? Nope. All right, so that's the status on day 1. So the action's all up here. Right? So what does girl A do? Who does she tell to hang around? Number 5. Yeah, she's got 5, 4, and 2, and she likes 5 the best. She tells 5 to come back, and she says to these guys, we're not going to marry him. That means that boys 2 and 4 cross girl A off their list. So they say A is no longer possible for them. All right, now we go to day 2. And 5 goes back to girl A, and of course, boys 1 and 3 stay there. Where does boy 2 go on day 2? B. All right, so boy 2 shows up here on day 2. And let's see, boy 5 is already there. And then we got to get boy 4. Where does he go now? C. All right, boy 4 shows up here. All right, so now the action is with girl C. And what does she do? Yeah, she keeps 4 and she boots poor 1. You know, let him along for a day, and then he gets the boot because boy 4 showed up, right? Because girl C likes 4 better than 1. So bad luck for 1 there. So now 1 goes home that night and crosses off girl C. Okay. All right, and where does 1 go on day 3? All right, so he goes to, crossed off C, goes to B. All right, so this is left over. We have 5, 2, 4, 3. Boy 1 now goes to B, right? Okay. And then what does girl B do? Who does she keep around? Keeps 2, boots poor 1. All right, so 1 says, all right, I'm crossing B off my list. Got the message. And now where does boy 1 go on day 4? E, third choice. Okay. So 1 shows up down here, and these guys keep returning. Wow, so on day 4, there's no more fighting. Every girl has at most 1. The termination condition is invoked, and these are the marriages that take place. The girls say yes. All right, now does everybody understand the algorithm we used? Any questions on the algorithm? Yeah? That's in case the algorithm doesn't work, because we haven't proved it works yet, and I got to have a possibility for a boy crosses every girl off his list. He gets rejected everywhere. That is a possibility, so I got to say what would happen in that possibility. Now, we will prove in a few minutes that condition never arises. Okay? But I'm giving you what might happen in which so it never does. So no boy ends up having to stay home and do homework here. All right, so that's the algorithm. Now we got to, let's see if we can see if there's any rogue couples. All right, so for example, let's look at boy 1. Boy 1 got paired to his third choice, E. So 1C might be a rogue couple. Is that possible? No, because C got 4 here, which is her first choice. She's not going with boy 1. That's not working. What about 1B? Could that be rogue? No, B got 2, and B likes 2 better than 1. So 1C and 1B are not rogue, and 1 got E, so there's no other possibility for boy 1. So boy 1 is not in a rogue couple. What about boy 2? 2 got B, and that's 2's second choice. What about 2A? Let's see. A got 5, and A likes 5 better than 2. All right, so that's not rogue. Boy 2 is not rogue. All right. Boy 3. Boy 3 got his first choice, right? 3 got D. So 3's not going anywhere.